GoPros have revolutionized action cameras and they can do some pretty crazy stuff. They can have horizon lock and some insane stabilization. But the thing is, it comes at a very hefty price. Well, what if there was a product that could combine a lot of the big features of a GoPro at a really affordable price at around $60? Well, there is a product, and this is what we're going to talk about today. This is the WolFang GA100 action camera. It's 4K, Wi-Fi enabled, and it's really cool at an amazing price. Let's see if it really is comparable to the GoPro and see if it's worth the buy. So, without further ado, welcome to Techno Review. Awesome, so first off, let's take a look at the box. Inside you can find the camera, waterproof case, an external microphone, a remote, two 1050 mAh batteries, one USB cable, one bicycle mount, one helmet mount, one extension mount, one J-hook mount, one dust cover, one frame, one long thumb screw, one short thumb screw, one 360 rotating screw, one backpack clip, two adhesive pads, two flat adhesive pads, four bandages, one release buckle, one entrance tether, and one user manual. Right from the get-go, we get a ton of stuff in the box for just under $60, which is quite crazy, and even GoPro can't really do that. You usually have to buy those accessories or get it in a bundle. So the accessories are pretty good, they're pretty versatile, but the thing is, the quality isn't really that great. It's sort of on the verge of, medium to really bad plastic, and I fear I might break this pretty soon. Spoiler. So that was pretty much it for the box. Let's move on and talk about the specs. The WolFang GA100 weighs 1.52 ounces, has the dimensions of 2.36 by 1.65 by 0.98 inches, and has a max 4K resolution with settings of 4K 30 FPS, 2.7K 30 FPS, 1080p 60 FPS, 1080p 30 FPS, and 720 120 FPS. For photo options, it has settings of 20 megapixels, 16 megapixels, 12 megapixels, and 8 megapixels. The camera is waterproof for up to 40 meters with the case, which is amazing. The GA100 has 2050 mAh batteries with a life of 60 minutes for 4K videos and up to 90 minutes for 1080p videos. And it seems to fare pretty well. It's usually less than those stats they give in the website, but it still gets the job done for a long period of time. The body of the camera is made of plastic, and the lens used on front is a 170-degree fisheye lens. There are ridges around the entire camera for grip, which is pretty great, and it looks really nice as well. The plastic also here leans on really flimsy to medium, but if you do grip it way too hard, you will find it bending pretty easily. Something that I would have loved on the camera itself is some silicone grips. I do feel like it might slip from my hands now and then, but I totally understand if they had to sacrifice that for that price point. On the back, you have a 2-inch LCD display, which is not very bright on sunny days, but still gets the job done. The way you navigate the display is by using all the buttons available to you. So you have an OK button on top, the on/mode button on the front, the Wi-Fi/up button, as well as the down button on the left. On the bottom, you can find the compartment to fit the battery. On the right of the camera, you can find a section where you'll find all the ports. You have the micro SD card slot, the HD out port, the micro USB port, and also the headphone jack for the additional mic. There are also holes scattered around the camera, and they're mainly used for speaker and heat ventilation. And I did notice during my use of the camera, the heating works pretty well for the whole body, but the screen does heat up unusually and it does get really hot. So make sure, just be careful if you do buy it to make sure you don't overburn it. And those speakers are decent. I feel like you're not going to use it as your main. They're usually just to make sure that your video actually recorded audio, just to make sure. So don't rely on it too much. And if you do want to know how it sounds, here is a quick test. Awesome, and there is also an inbuilt microphone. So for you to record that audio, here is a quick test to see the inbuilt microphone. So here is the external audio. This is what it sounds like when I'm decently far away from the camera itself. It's gonna be kind of bad since I don't think you're gonna use this specific camera just for the audio itself. I think you'd more use it for the footage, but it's really great that they've added that feature in instead of just leaving it audio-less. And now let's test the external microphone given by WolFang themselves from the box and see how it fares to the internal microphone. So here is a quick test. So this is what the external microphone would sound like. This is a quick recording and the microphone is actually clipped to my shirt. So this is what it would sound like if you use this the regular way. Awesome, so now let's boot up the GA100 and see the software. The first place you land is the video mode, which is pretty great. When seeing the display, it gives you all the information you need on one screen. It gives you the battery level, all the way to how much time you have left of recording on that particular SD card. And when you hit the mode button on front, you will reach the photo mode where you can take pictures. When you hit the mode button one more time, you will reach the video library and you can navigate it with the up and down buttons. And when you hit the mode button one more time, you will reach the image library. And here you can also see all your images, and same way how you navigate the video library, you do the same here. And when you hit the button one more time, you will reach the video settings. There you can change the resolution and frame rate, the stabilization. You can loop videos and create time-lapse videos, make a slow motion video, and also auto record. When you hit the mode button one more time, you will reach the image settings. There you can change the photo resolution, create a time-lapse using photos, and turn on burst mode. When you hit the mode button, you reach the general settings. Here you can change the device volume, the beep sound, the exposure of the camera, the white balance, the ISO, and add effects like negative, sepia, and black and white. You can adjust the contrast, saturation, and sharpness. It's really great that you can change all of these features on the camera itself. It makes it really versatile and is actually pretty great for that price point. And when you hit the mode button one more time, you will reach to more general settings. The only notable one here is car mode, where you can basically use this camera as a dash cam, which is pretty great. And if you do hit the mode button one more time and hit the shutter button, you'll reach back to video mode. And also one of the greatest parts about the camera itself is that it's Wi-Fi enabled, which means you can connect your phone to it. So here I'm going to show you how to connect your camera to your phone using a special app. So you can download the Live DV app on the App Store or the Google Play Store. There you can follow some steps to connect the camera to your phone. You have to press the up button on the side of the camera when it's on and connect your phone's Wi-Fi to it. Then you type in the password that is displayed on the screen. Then you go to the app and hit connect, and you're pretty much all set. And you've just connected your camera to your phone and you can see right through it. The app is really not that well made. It's pretty janky, but the thing is, it gets the job done. There is some latency, so you will definitely notice some latency when moving around your camera and looking at your phone. There's a very significant delay, but having it at all at $60 is pretty great. And the best part is that you can take photos directly from your phone, or even take a video from your phone directly, and it works on the camera. So say you have your camera placed pretty far away and you just place it there, hit record on your phone, it starts recording, which is pretty great. You can also do the same thing with the remote itself. The additional remote is amazing. I've used it multiple times. It comes paired up in the beginning. I believe that's based on my experience. So you just hit photo, takes a photo, hit video, takes a video. It's quite simple and it's really amazing. I really love these hands-off features for this camera. You don't really have to be near it to actually take those photos. I personally tried it on the GoPro. It's a bit janky for me personally, so I prefer this actually over the GoPro in terms of the hands-off features. And finally, for the app, you can also access all your photos and videos, so you can also download it onto your phone. I personally had some trouble with that. The first two videos sort of downloaded, but the rest just did not. It kept on saying downloading and downloaded. It just did not show up, which is a pretty big bummer, but I can definitely take the SD card out of the camera and just plug it into my computer and get all the footage that way. And I really want to touch on the user interface for the camera itself. It was pretty janky at some times and it felt really inconvenient to use. So if you accidentally hit the wrong button, you just go 10 steps forward and no way of returning back. So say if I wanted to change some settings, or if I actually wanted to look at a photo, so say if I just moved from the video mode to the photo mode to the gallery, if I accidentally hit the shutter button or even the mode button, I have to go through the entire process again. It feels really counterintuitive and it's really hard to use, sometimes even frustrating. So hopefully that can be fixed in the future. But right now at this price point, this is pretty great. But hopefully in the future, it can change. Awesome, so now let's move on to my personal thoughts and my experience using the GA100. So first of all, I really like the build of the camera itself. It looks really cool, and I actually like the design of it over the GoPro. The quality of the plastic though did feel really weak, but if you use the case, I think you would be completely fine. I think the case is actually one of the greatest parts about the camera itself. It feels really secure, the mechanism of it is really cool. And when you hold it in your hand, it feels secure enough that you can just chuck it off a roof and it would not break. It probably will, but it just feels really solid. And the case would be amazing for underwater footage. It will protect it for up to 40 meters, which is amazing. And the style of it looks really cool. And I like how the buttons are sort of integrated onto the case, so you can still navigate with the buttons even with the case on. The number of accessories you get is crazy, and I think that's also one of the greatest parts about this camera. You can mount it on so many things with the accessories, but the plastic for the accessories is a bit low. Here was a spoiler I mentioned earlier. I did break one of the mounts, the bicycle mount specifically. It broke on my 4th try. I stress tested it, and it did not really stand or work pretty well. So I can't really use it on a bike anymore, but I can definitely put it on my helmet, put it on somewhere else, and stick it on, which is pretty great. And it's great that those accessories can help me do that. So let's first talk about photos. So here are some test photos. These photos look pretty decent for the price range. They're decently visible and are pretty good for underwater photography. The main concern I have is the lack of focus and the lack of contrast and saturation. The images are pretty raw and don't look that great visually in terms of color. And this also spills onto the video format. So 4K video is a really great perk to have, and it's really good on paper, but the execution of it also matters a lot. There's a lot of things that go into play to see a video quality, like white balance, saturation, and so much more. And yes, you can definitely change it around in the settings, but for some reason it still feels really bad. It's like when you change it a bit or change it less, it just looks extremely bad. And just baseline, the basic settings also looks pretty bland itself. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but obviously at $60, it actually looks phenomenal. It looks like something you would see in a 2016 or 2015 phone, but right now in a tiny action camera for about 60 bucks. And it's pretty great in that regard. And also the camera does a decent job of stabilization. It's really not that great, but it's there in the camera. So it's pretty good that they actually added it in for that price point. I wouldn't recommend this for extreme movement to get some buttery smooth stabilization. I would mostly use this for either biking really on the road or scootering or walking. I wouldn't recommend it for either like mountain biking, like extreme swimming or running. I don't think it would capture all of that, but having a more smoother or close to smooth ride with the action camera would get you the best footage. So when considering the pros and the cons for the WolFang GA100, the final score I would give it is an 80 out of 100. The GA100 has some amazing features: 4K video, minimal stabilization, you can do photos, you have a lot of accessories, you have a really amazing case, the best part in my opinion, and it's just pretty great. You get accessories, a lot of stuff, way more stuff than what you would get with a GoPro at a really high price. There are some places that could be fixed: the quality of the plastic for the camera itself, the quality of the plastic for the accessories, some changes to the user system on both the phone and the actual camera itself. None of these are deal breakers. There are some minor flaws sprinkled throughout, but it doesn't hinder your basic user experience. If you're looking for that entry-level action camera to test out experience, or if you're just looking for an action camera in that budget range, this would be your perfect buy. This is the WolFang GA100, and I hope you enjoyed this video. You can obviously purchase this in the links below. I've left a couple of links, and you can definitely purchase it there. So subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more featured content. Like this video if you found this helpful, and comment any questions and concerns, and I'll try my best to answer them. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.